Hi, in today's lesson I'm going to show you how to make a simple piano arrangement of the good old Christmas song Jingle Bells. Now you could make this into a jazz arrangement with lots of fancy chord substitutions, upper structure triads, drop two voicings, something like this. And if you want to learn about that kind of thing and you haven't done so far, then check out my series on jazz reharmonisation and also the one on arranging jazz standards at the piano. There's a link to both of these in the description below. But in this video, I'm going to enter into the Christmas spirit and show you how to take a tune with a very basic chord progression and bring it to life by playing it in the style of a New Orleans marching jazz band. I'm assuming that you already understand the chord symbols in this lead sheet. If not, I've made a couple of videos about how to construct triads, that's 3-note chords, and also how to construct seventh chords. And again, I've put the links to these in the description below. The New Orleans marching jazz band style has a wonderful street parade energy to it. It's very rhythmic and bouncy. And one of the key elements to this style is the 2-in-a-bar bass, the bar bass that you hear played on the tuba. The two bass notes come on beats 1 and 3 and are quite often just simply the root alternating with the fifth. So say if you have a G major chord, G is the root, B is the third, D is the fifth. On beat 1 you would be playing G, and on beat 3 playing D. Now in this arrangement I'm going to play single bass notes with the left hand and I'm going to add the chords under the melody in the right hand. It's at a fairly brisk tempo and it's important to realise that you don't always need to play all the notes of a chord every time, just sufficient to imply the chord. So in bar 1, the first note in the melody, D, is the fifth of the G major chord. There's the G major chord, D is the fifth. So if I play the root, G, on beat 1, and then the fifth, D, on beat 3 in the bass, then all I need to add is B, the third of the chord, underneath the melody at the beginning. And because the melody is quite busy there, all I need to do is play that chord once right at the beginning, and then after that I don't need to state it again, just play the single note. Now another feature of the New Orleans marching jazz band is the snare drum on beats 2 and 4, and you can hint at this wherever possible in the melody by accenting the notes on beats 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Just be careful though not to exaggerate this, just a slight accent will do. In bar 2, the melody note is a whole note, so we need to play something in the accompaniment to keep it moving. The simple answer is to play the melody note on beat 1, hold it down for the rest of the bar, and underneath with the right hand, play the root and third on beats 2 and 4. So melody note on 1, 2, off on 3, back down on 4. And again, a slight accent on the chord on beats 2 and 4, like the snare drum in the marching band. So the bass is still playing on 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. In bars 3 and 4, I still start off the bar with the root of the chord in the bass on beat 1. But in bar 3, I then go not to the fifth on beat 3, but to the third of the G chord, which is B, which leads me by step nicely up to C at the beginning of the next bar. So now in bar 4, I then put a passing note in the bass, so I play C on beat 1, chord on beat 2. On beat 3, I play B, the passing note, and that leads me to A at the beginning of the next bar. On beat 3 of that bar, I go to the third of the A minor chord, which is C. So, which again leads by step C to D to the root of the D chord. Now the D chord, lasts for 2 bars. Well, it's D and then D7. So what I do there is I play on beat 1, I play the root. On beat 3, I play the 5th. And then I go to the root again, but instead of coming back up, I go down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the root at the bottom. And this time on beat 3, I go to the 3rd of the chord, which is F sharp, which again leads me nicely by step to G, the root of the following chord. The next 8 bars are simply a repetition of the first 8, but with a slight change to the melody in bar 15. And then in bar 16, I simply play the melody, the chord, and the bass all together on beats 1 and 3, and I accent them. Now that kind of suddenly halts the thing, it stops the flow of it. And this sudden stop is another feature of the New Orleans Marching Jazz Band, and it sets you up for the chorus. So I get to... in bars 17 to 19, I simply alternate root and 5th in the bass and add the chords below the melody on beats 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now in bar 20 though, I do another kind of stop. I play the chord with the melody on beat 1, but I don't play the chord again in the bar. In the bass, I change to playing 4 quarter notes, a very basic walking bass. I'm going from a G chord to a C chord, and I just simply play the root twice, A as a passing note, up to B, the 3rd of the chord, and that leads me to C. So, and again, that sort of stop, it's something that's done in these marching jazz bands a lot. And it's a fundamental part of that style. You might notice that in bar 21, I don't alternate root and 5th. And that's because the 5th of the chord, the note G, is also the root of the following chord. And it sounds weak if you repeat the same bass note over a bar line. Also, I depart from playing the chords on beats 2 and 4 in bar 21 and play them on 1, 2 and 3, and that gives another feeling of kind of stopping. At the beginning of the following bar, it's a G chord, but the note in the melody is C. So what I actually do there is play a C chord in the right hand, just on beat 1, but over G in the bass, and then I change to a G chord. In bar 23, on the A7 chord, I play the root on beat 1 and then the 3rd of the chord, which is C sharp, on beat 3. That leads nicely to D. But instead of going up to the 3rd, that would be A going up to C sharp there, I go down to the lower 3rd there. So now that's better because you don't want the bass to go too high. It starts to sound a bit thin. It's better lower down. In bar 24, I do another little walk up to the F sharp in the bass, and I also do another little stop there, and I play the melody and the chord with the bass on beat 3, and I accent it. So the chorus is then repeated with just a change in the melody and chords in bars 31 and 32. And I also do another little walk up in the bass in bar 31. And in the final bar, I play the root down to the 5th and then to the root again, but an octave lower. And in the right hand, just the melody and the chord on beat 1 and also repeated on beat 3. So bar 31 is, and then G chord there, down to the 5th, the right hand goes up an octave, plays the same chord again but an octave higher, and the left hand down at the bottom. Okay, Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did and you haven't done so far, I'd be really grateful if you can give it a thumbs up and subscribe.